Let me double check we're live here. Checking on the YouTube. Do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to say to the people? Watch live now. Shichi. Okay, well, we are joined today by a special guest. This is my son. Say hi. Can you say hi? Okay. But yeah, welcome to our usual Monday live stream. We're a bit late today. We're about 2 hours late. I'm going to put him down. But say goodbye. Say bye, buddy. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, that's ways down there. Okay. All right. Well, we are joined today by my son. I just figured that would be a special treat. Also, I wanted to give my wife a break. I've been gone all day. That's part of why this is 2 hours late. But today we are going over Formula One. We do this every week on the channel. Every week our content kind of switches. And that is because I have a lot of very, very different interests. And I figure for the sake of my YouTube channel, I didn't want to start a channel on just one topic because I figured I'd get bored of just one topic or two topics or that sort of thing. So it's kind of a grab bag. We go around every other week or so. It's kind of switches between like my sports interests and whether it be science or political interests, or then like shows and fandom interests, that sort of thing. It's kind of a 3-week cycle on and off. But this week we are closing our Formula One content, talking about the first half of the Formula One season. But we always start our live streams with a roundup of the week. And big news in baseball, a lot of trades. But I wanted to talk about my Brewers and how bad my Brewers are. They just got swept by the best team in the league. I actually don't feel too bad about it. The Brewers are no longer the top of the NL Central, but they look good, especially when they're head-to-head with Cincinnati. They have smoked Cincinnati for the most part in their head-to-head meetings. I want to say they're 10-3, maybe 9-3 in matchups between the two teams this year, but obviously struggled against Atlanta. In Atlanta, a lot of that has to do with who we had pitching. We have, in my opinion, the best pitching staff in the MLB right now, and Christian Yelich is hot. We have a lot of good rookie talent that is showing off right now, but we didn't look strong against Atlanta. I don't think we expected to look strong against Atlanta. That's why we had the rotation that we did, and as you saw, they swept them. But the Brewers have been hot. That is one. I think that's the only. Don't quote me on this. I think that's the only series they have lost. Are the two against Atlanta. The two series that they lost against Atlanta are the only two series they have lost in the last 2 months. I could be wrong about that, but they have been, for the most part, fairly hot. I mentioned last week there was a change in leadership in the AL East. The Baltimore Orioles are now at the top of the league. Are you talking down there? Are you saying hi from down? Okay. But the Baltimore Orioles lead the AL East. The Twins are still, last time I checked, on top of the AL Central. The Rangers still barely grasping that hold on the AL West ahead of their state rival Astros. The Braves very far ahead in the NL East. Now the Reds lead by about half game or a game ahead of the Brewers in the NL Central, and the Diamondbacks have now slipped all the way down to third place in the NL West. The Dodgers a pretty firm grip now after the All-Star break. But those are the leaders in baseball. Not a ton of hockey news, just apart from the personal lives of some players. The only big name that I wanted to talk about, excuse you. We might be interrupted by my son every once in a while. I do apologize, but thus is the sacrifice you make as a parent. But the big news in terms of trades and general manager movements, that sort of thing, player movements, is Vladimir Tarasenko, after his 1 year or short year stint in New York for the Rangers, is now on his way to Ottawa. So Tarasenko obviously won a Stanley Cup as a member of the 2019 St. Louis Blues, then moved to the Rangers last season and will now be heading to Ottawa. So a lot of talent moving into Ottawa. It's exciting to see where things are moving with them next season. Basketball news, of course, we touched a little bit last week on the fact that it's looking like the NBA will expand to 32 teams sometime in the next 5 years. The rumored cities are Seattle and Vegas, which are the same cities that the NHL expanded from 30 to 32 teams. We will see where that goes. If that is officially announced, that's been the rumor through X, through Twitter. Not officially announced by any means, but that is the major speculation coming out of some serious board meetings at NBA headquarters. In football news, of course, training camps are coming to an end. The preseason starts this week. Canadian football, my BC Lions shut out the Edmonton Elks, the worst team in the CFL, so it wasn't a major surprise. I was actually worried that we were going to fall short and be the embarrassment of the league. We are now, I think, 6-1, 7-1 maybe, going into this next week of Canadian football, but those are my BC Lions. Toronto's still hot. Toronto's still the best team in the league. Edmonton very much at the bottom. But if BC can hold their hold on the West, then it's looking like we could be in for a Grey Cup matchup between Toronto and BC going forward. In soccer news, we saw Messi's debut last weekend, and we're expecting to see Jordi Alba debut for Inter Miami any one of these days. Leagues Cup action has been going on. My DC United, I'm actually wearing my shirt today, were shut out pretty aggressively by, I think was it Pumas, UNAM. I can't quite remember exactly who they played in their final game, but it's not looking like they will be moving on to the next round, despite a good showing in their first matchup. But that is Leagues Cup action. The MLS has been holding their own for the most part against Liga MX. Overseas, it's looking like Harry Kane is pretty much confirmed going to Bayern Munich. The Kylian Mbappe roundup. Chelsea is now in the picture, which I am excited as a Chelsea fan. But the big name that is linked to him right now is Liverpool. It would be interesting to see him head over to Liverpool. But for the most part, with the team names that are being thrown around, it's looking like he will actually be going over the channel into the English Premier League. So expect some more soccer news next week in terms of transfers and that sort of thing, leading into kind of the preseason for European soccer ahead of all of the leagues play this fall. In pop culture news, it was a big week in terms of celebrity deaths, I guess you could say. Just today, we heard the news that Paul Rubens, who played Pee Wee Herman, passed away. Elsewhere, Sinead O'Connor passed away last week, and the original bass player for the Eagles, who's, oh gosh, why is his name escaping me right now? Bass player for the Eagles. Randy Meisner, passed away last week. My family are huge Eagles fans. I've seen the Eagles in concert. I've never seen Meisner in concert. He was replaced by Timothy B. Schmidt in, late 70s, early 80s. And so every time I've seen the Eagles live, it's been Timothy B. Schmidt. But Meisner, one of the original members of the Eagles, passed away. And we continue the huge stride of Barbenheimer. Another big showing over the weekend. My wife and I are going on Saturday, trying to do the doubleheader. We'll see if the man talking underneath my microphone right now will let us be away from the house for about 7 hours. But that is our plans for this week. Let's talk Formula One. Actually, let me just touch on wrestling real quick before we move on to our main focus. Last night was the Great American Bash, the NXT premium live event or pay-per-view, live from the HEB Center in Cedar Park outside of Austin. One of the biggest events NXT has done in a while. Carmelo Hayes defended his NXT World Championship against Ilya Dragunov. Was successful in his defense. Tiffany Stratton was successful in her defense against Thea Hale with the Women's Championship. Andre Chase threw in the towel for Thea Hale in the submission match. Elsewhere, Dirty Dom Mysterio, a member of the Judgment Day, was successful in his defense of the NXT North American Championship in a triple threat match alongside Mustafa Ali and former champion Wes Lee. The big news of the night, though, was that the NXT Tag Team Championships changed hands from Gallus to the new champions, The Family, Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Of course, as a fan of the Cultaholic and What Culture podcasts, I was thrilled that The Family won. It's going to be some good podcast content. If you don't follow those accounts, if you're not a professional wrestling fan, then don't worry about it. But if you are and you're not listening along to what they have to offer in terms of their NXT podcasts, both channels are excellent in their coverage. Both of them understand how cartoonish a lot of these characters are, and they absolutely run with it, and it's a wonderful time. So if you can get past the craziness that is what is left of NXT 2.0, I guess, would be a good way. The white and gold era, I guess they're calling it now, NXT 3.0. If you can get past the crazy characters that are in it and take it for what it is, NXT, honestly, one of my favorite shows of the week. It's cartoonish wrestling at its worst/best in an ironic way. It's like watching the Star Wars prequels in a car crash every week, and it's fantastic. So good showing. There were a couple fantastic matches on the card, and I'm excited to see where we go in the fall for NXT. Of course, this weekend is SummerSlam. We will be doing wrestling content next week following SummerSlam, so stay tuned for that. But let's talk Formula One. Of course, yesterday was the Belgian Grand Prix. Live from Spa-Francorchamps. I was a little worried that especially with the weather, it's always raining during the Belgian Grand Prix. I was worried there might be some problems. There have already been fatalities on the track this year I think it was Formula, it wouldn't have been Formula 2. I can't remember what series it was, but we saw a couple different incidents during the race, but nothing serious, no serious injuries, no fatalities, which is always fantastic. It's my favorite race of the year. It's my favorite track on the calendar. It's one of the most dangerous tracks on the calendar. Give me 1 sec. Let me shove this in my son's mouth here. Don't take that out of context, please. Okay, that is a pacifier. You are supposed to put them in your children's mouths. I have this sheet here, and this is one of the ones that actually saved, thank goodness. But what you're seeing here is a whole bunch of spreadsheets having to do with Formula One, and I didn't get the chance to update them. I haven't in a long time with the stuff that I've been working on outside of this one specifically. So let's go through and live update this stuff. So this first one is the lineups for next year. We don't have to update this one, but you see here, it's at 125%. I hope that's enough for you guys to see it. But this is a grid lineup of the start of the season. So the official first 20 drivers on the grid. This was this season. So Mercedes, a German team, is driving Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, both Brits. Ferrari from Italy is driving Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Red Bull from Austria is driving Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. I have Max Verstappen bolded. It's very likely he will win the championship unless something major happens to his car in his position. Alpine from France is driven by two French drivers, a full French team, Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon. Alfa Romeo from Switzerland is driven by Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu. Haas is driven by Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen. McLaren is driven by Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. Aston Martin is driven by Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. AlphaTauri is driven by Nick DeVries, was driven by Nick DeVries and Yuki Tsunoda. Of course, now Nick DeVries has been replaced by Daniel Ricciardo. 1 sec. Buddy, you're making too much noise down there. I'm doing his mother a favor. But yes, so this was the starting lineup of this season. Nick DeVries and Yuki Tsunoda, now Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. And then Williams being driven by Alex Albon and Logan Sargent, the only American driver on the track. This is next season. This is what we have confirmed for next season. So Mercedes, all 10 teams will be returning next year. Of course, we're getting an expansion in 2026. Mercedes staying at its base in Germany. Lewis Hamilton has not reaffirmed his contract for next season, so George Russell is the only confirmed Mercedes driver for next season at this moment. Ferrari sticking with their exact setup for next season. Red Bull presumably sticking with the same setup for next season. There's been rumors that Daniel Ricciardo is shooting for Sergio Perez's spot, but Perez is under contract for next season, so we'll see if anything changes. Alpine staying with their French lineup for next season as well. Alfa Romeo will not be renewing their contract for the Sauber team, so Sauber will be running with a Ferrari lineup. What? Alfa Romeo is leaving the sport, so next year's Sauber team has not yet been named. They are sticking with their base in Switzerland. Valtteri Bottas is the only confirmed driver for next season. Haas cleaning slate with their drivers unless they, well, I shouldn't say they're cleaning slate. None of their drivers are under contract for next season, so I have left this blank. McLaren sticking with their current setup for next season. Aston Martin, Has not confirmed Lance Stroll's return for next season. You'd assume that he would, given that his father owns the team. AlphaTauri will be rebranding, so we'll see what they go with for a name next season, but they also don't have any confirmed drivers for next season. And then Williams, sticking with Alex Albon, Logan Sargent is not under contract for next season. Below that, I have Formula 2. Do you need to be on camera again? Do you need to be on camera? Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. So, we have Formula 2, the teams of Prema Racing, which is currently sporting Oliver Behrman and Frederick Vesti. We have Virtuosi Racing, which is sporting Jack Doohan and Amari Cordial. Rodine Carlin is fitted with Enzo Fittipaldi and Zane Maloney. We have High Tech Pulse with Jack Crawford and Isaac Hadjar. Art Grand Prix with Theo Pourchaire and Victor Martins. MP Motorsport with Dennis Hauger, the defending Formula 3 champion, and Jehan Deruvala. Campos Racing with Ralph Boschung and Kush Maini. DAMS from France driving Charles Leclerc's little brother Arthur, as well as Ayumi Iwasa. Trident is driving Clement Novalak and Roman Stanek, the only Czech driver in any Formula sport at the moment. We have PHM Racing with Roy Nissany and Brad Benavides from the United States. And last but not least, Van Amersfoort Racing with Richard Verschoor and Juan Manuel Correa. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. Do you need to be set down again? Can you say hi to everybody? Can you say sorry for interrupting today? Do you need to go back down? I think you need to go back down. Okay. Whee. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, my son. Formula 3 is below that. There are 3 drivers on each team, so you see a lot of the same teams from Formula 2. Prema is driving Paul Aaron from Estonia, Dino Beganovic from Sweden, and Zach O'Sullivan. Trident is driving Gabriel Bortoleto, Oliver Getty, Leonardo Fornaroli as well. Art Grand Prix has Greg Wire, Sassi, Kalen Frederick, and Nicola Solab. MP Motorsport has Mari Boya, Franco Colapinto, and Johnny Edgar. High Tech has Gabriel Mini, Sebastian Montoya, and for whatever reason, I don't know why these aren't updated. I do apologize. So why don't we go to Formula 3 here and live update this on the spot. So here are the support series for Formula 1. Let's go to 2023 Formula 3. So we were looking at specifically High Tech. High Tech, the third one is Luke Browning, who is British. So we'll highlight and paste the United Kingdom there, and Luke Browning. Van Amersfoort has Caio Collet, Tommy Smith, and Rafael Villagomez. Rodine Carlin, we are also missing one there. We have Hunter Yeany, Oliver Gray, and we started the season with Ido Cohen. So we'll go with Ido Cohen. He is Israeli. Ido Cohen. Campos Racing, Christian Mansell, Hugh Barter, and Pepe Marti, who is Spanish. So let's find Spain. And Pepe Marti. Yenzer Motorsport has Nikita Bedrin, Taylor Barnard, and Alex Garcia. And then PHM Racing has 3 drivers that I don't even have on there. So Sophia Florsch, who I believe is the only female driver on the track. She is German. So let's find a German highlight here. And, oh, that's not it. Where's German here? Germany. Sophia Florsch. Roberto Faria. Did I spell that right? Yes. Who is Brazilian. So let's find Brazil. Should be up here by Enzo Fittipaldi. And last but not least, let's do the starting drivers. So this is going to be Piotr Wisnicki. Who is Polish. Can we find Poland on here? I took the walk. Of course, Robert Kubica. And then below that, we have the 2022-2023 Formula E season. Envision Racing is outfitted with Nick Cassidy and Sebastian Buemi. Mahindra with Lucas de Grassi and Oliver Rowland. DS Penske with Stoffel van Dorn, as well as Jean-Eric Vernier. Nissan with Norman Nato and Sasha Fenestraz. Jaguar with Mitch Evans and Sam Bird. Maserati with Maximilian Gunther and Eduardo Mortara. Avalanche with Jake Dennis and Andre Lauderer. ABT with Kelvin Vanderlinde and Nico Muller. Neo with Dan Ticktum, who I always want to call Tan Dictum, because I don't know why, because I might be dyslexic with his name. I do have numerical dyslexia, but I don't have alphabetical dyslexia. So anyways, and then also Sergio Sede Camara from Brazil. Neon McLaren has Rene Rast and Jake Hughes, and Tag Heuer has former champion Pascal Wehrlein and Antonio Feliz da Costa. Here's a driver exchange that I put together. This just shows kind of the change in teams over the past couple seasons. So I started watching in 2019. That was a huge year for changeover. So you saw Fernando Alonso replaced at how do I explain this? So he was replaced at McLaren, that's the colors that you see, by Carlos Sainz from Renault. His position at Renault was taken up by Daniel Ricciardo from Red Bull. His position at Red Bull was taken by Pierre Gasly from, at the time, Toro Rosso. His position at Toro Rosso was taken by Daniel Kvyat, who was not on the grid the previous season. Brendan Hartley was replaced by Alex Albon. Stoffel van Dorn was replaced by Lando Norris. Marcus Ericsson was replaced by Antonio Giovinazzi. Esteban Ocon was replaced by Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll's position was taken by George Russell. And then Sergei Sirotkin was taken by Robert Kubica. I don't know how you want to pronounce his last name. I'm not Polish. 2020 saw a significantly fewer number of changes. Nico Hülkenberg's position at Renault was taken by Esteban Ocon, and Robert Kubica was taken by Nicolas Latifi. 2021, we saw Alexander Albon's position at Red Bull taken by Sergio Perez from Racing Point. His position at Racing Point, which then, of course, became Aston Martin, was taken by Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel's position at Ferrari was taken by Carlos Sainz from McLaren. Carlos Sainz's position at McLaren was taken by Daniel Ricciardo from Renault. Daniel Ricciardo's position at Renault, which became Alpine, was taken by Fernando Alonso. Kevin Magnussen was replaced by Mick Schumacher, and Roman Grosjean was replaced by Nikita Mazepin. 2022, we saw Kimi Räikkönen replaced at Alfa Romeo by Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas's position at McLaren was at Mercedes was taken by George Russell. George Russell's position at Williams was taken by Alexander Albon, who was not on the calendar the previous season. Antonio Giovinazzi was replaced by Zhou Guanyu, and Nikita Mazepin was released from his contract due to the Russo-Ukrainian war and replaced by Kevin Magnussen. And then this offseason, prior to this season, Sebastian Vettel's position was replaced by Fernando Alonso. Alonso's position was replaced by Pierre Gasly, and Gasly was replaced by Nick De Vries. I don't do mid-season changes, so I will replace Nick De Vries for next season with whoever takes his spot at AlphaTauri. Daniel Ricciardo's position at McLaren was taken over by Oscar Piastri. Mick Schumacher's position was taken over by Nico Hülkenberg, and Nicolas Latifi was taken over by Logan Sargent. Here's a list of teams and their histories. This is in alphabetical order of the teams on the grid. Alfa Romeo has been around in its current form since 2019. Before that, they were Sauber Motorsport. That was all the way since 1993. They had efforts suspended from 1986. Before that, they were Team Alfa Romeo, dating back to 1979. They suspended they were Alfa Romeo in 1950 and 1951, where they had two successful drivers with Giuseppe Farina and Juan Manuel Fangio. So they are one of the original teams technically, but they have had two major suspensions in their history. So they are not a continuous team the way Ferrari is. AlphaTauri has been Scuderia AlphaTauri Honda since 2020. Before that, they were Toro Rosso. Of course, they are renaming next season. They were Scuderia Toro Rosso before that, dating back to 2006. Before that, they were known as Minardi Racing. And before that, they were not a team. Alpine started in 1981 with Tolman Motorsport. They became Benetton Formula in 1986. They did win a Constructors' Championship. They became Renault in 2002, won a Constructors' Championship under the drivership of Fernando Alonso. They became Lotus Renault in 2011, Lotus in 2012, Renault again in 2016, and then now Alpine as of 2021. Aston Martin has been in the sport since, let's see here, 1991 as Jordan Grand Prix. They have never won a title. They became Midland in 2006, Etihad Alder Spiker in 2007, Sahara Force India in 2008, Racing Point Force India in 2018, BWT Racing Point in 2019, and Aston Martin Aramco in 2021. Ferrari has been Scuderia Ferrari ever since the start of Formula One, the oldest and only continuous team since the start of Formula One. Haas started in 2016. They have been Haas the entire history of their existence. McLaren started in, let's see here, 1966. They have basically been McLaren the entire time under different color schemes. Mercedes started as Tyrrell Racing in 1968. They won a couple titles, I believe, became British American Racing in 1999. Lucky Strike, British American Racing Honda in 2000. Honda in 2006. Braun GP, they did win in their only season a title under the drivership of Jenson Button, and then, of course, became Mercedes Petronas in 2010, have been wildly successful in the last decade. What? What do you need? You're just making noise to make noise. That's kind of what I do with the YouTube channel, to be honest with you. Red Bull started in, let's see here, 1997 as Stewart Grand Prix. They became Jaguar in 2000. Red Bull bought the rights to the team in 2005. 4 straight titles between the years 2010 and 2013, and of course they are going on. Let's see, they won the Drivers' Championship in 2021, but they did not win another Constructors' Championship until last season. They will very likely win 2 straight this year. And then Williams has been Williams since 1997, a wildly successful team in its history. Of course, not recently, but the driver lineups here, just a history of the driver lineups throughout the history of the teams. Like we talked about the different driver changeovers. The number 1 spots versus the number 2 spots I don't really have in consideration here. But then we go down to Formula 2, Formula 3, Formula E, that sort of thing. Drivers and their histories. I have a bunch of drivers who are on or have recently been on or near the grid. Alex Albon's history, of course, I've just included Formula 3, GP3, Formula 2, Formula E, and Formula 1. But he started in Formula 1 in 2019 with Toro Rosso, was moved up to Red Bull in 2020, or kind of about halfway through the 2019 season. They moved him around with Pierre Gasly. He was a test driver for Red Bull in 2021 and returned to the grid in 2022 for Williams. Fernando Alonso has kind of an interesting history. Started at Minardi in 2001. One sec here. Don't cry. Don't you dare cry on camera. Was a test driver in 2002 for a variety of teams. Renault driver in 2003 through 2006. That's when he won his 2 championships. McLaren in 2007 returned to Renault for 8 and 9. Was a Ferrari driver for 5 years after that. Was a McLaren driver for 4 years after that. Was off the grid for 19 and 20. Returned to the grid in 21 for Alpine this year, of course, with Aston Martin. Valtteri Bottas started with Williams in 2013. Was with Mercedes from 17 to 21, and now with Alfa Romeo. Nick de Vries. Despite this kind of being a one-off, I have included him on the grid, starting on the grid for Williams in 2022. Of course, this year drove for AlphaTauri. Felipe Drugovich is still kind of in the reserves. Right now, his highest position is as a reserve driver for Aston Martin. Pietro Fittipaldi drove for Haas on the grid in 2020, but is a reserve driver for Haas currently. Pierre Gasly started with Red Bull in 2017. That's as far back as I have it. I am sure he was on the grid before that. Drove for AlphaTauri from 2020 to 2022, this year with Alpine. Antonio Giovinazzi started with Sauber in 2017, was a test driver for the team in 2018 when they rebranded as Alfa Romeo, drove for 3 years for Alfa Romeo, drove last year for Dragon in Formula E. This year, a reserve driver for Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton started his career with McLaren in 2007, won his first title, I believe, in 2008, because 2007 would have been Kimi Räikkönen, 2008, yeah, would have been Lewis Hamilton, 2009 was the Brawn GP win with Jenson Button, but he switched over to Mercedes in 2013, has been wildly successful there, of course, is not under contract for next season, but I would not be surprised to see him back for the team. Nico Hülkenberg started on the grid in 2010 for Williams, was a test driver for what was then Force India in 2011, drove for Force India in 2012. Are you laughing? Are you laughing at me right now? Don't laugh at me. Force India in 2012, drove for Sauber in 2013. Back to Force India for 14, 15, and 16. Drove for Renault for the following 3 seasons. Racing Point in kind of a one-off in 2020. Drove as a reserve driver for Aston Martin in 21. Aston Martin last year in a one-off. And then Haas this year, permanent full-time for the first time since 2019. Nicholas Latifi had a 3-year career on the grid with Williams. Charles Leclerc started with Alfa Romeo in 2018, immediately moved over to Ferrari. Kevin Magnussen started on the grid in 2014 for McLaren, drove 2 years there, drove for Renault in 16, Haas for the next 4 years, took a year off in 2021, and returned for Haas in 2022. Nikita Mazepin, only 1 season on the grid, that was for Haas in 2021. Lando Norris has been driving with McLaren since 2019. Esteban Ocon started with Manor Racing in 2016, drove for Force India the following 2 seasons, was a test driver for Mercedes in 2019, drove for Renault in 2020, and has been driving for the team since its rebranding as Alpine ever since. Sergio Perez started with Sauber in 2011, drove for 2 years. It switched over to McLaren in 2013, drove for Force India for 5 years. It became a Racing Point where he drove for 2 years, and he's been Red Bull ever since 2021. Oscar Piastri, his first season on the grid with McLaren. Daniel Ricciardo started way back in 2011 with HRT, drove 2 years for Toro Rosso, drove 5 years for Red Bull, 2 years for Renault, 2 years for McLaren, and now on the grid again as a member of AlphaTauri. George Russell started with Williams in 2019, 3 years with them, and then switched over to Mercedes. He drove 1 race in 2021 for Mercedes, now of course the secondary driver for Mercedes behind Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz started on the grid with Toro Rosso in 2015, drove 2 years there, 2 years for Renault, 2 years for McLaren, and now with Ferrari. Logan Sargent, this is his first year on the grid with Williams. Mick Schumacher had 2 years at Haas, is now the reserve driver for Mercedes. Lance Stroll started in Williams in 2017, 2 years there, 2 years for Racing Point, his father's team. It rebranded as Aston Martin. He is in his 3rd season there. Yuki Tsunoda started on the grid in 2021 with AlphaTauri, has been there ever since. Stoffel Van Dorn did have time as a McLaren driver for 3 years, was a reserve driver in 2014, not on the grid in 2015, 3 years with McLaren, nothing in 2019, spent 2 years as a reserve driver for Mercedes, a test driver for Mercedes last year, and this year is the test driver for Aston Martin. Max Verstappen got his start at Toro Rosso in 2015, has been on the grid with Red Bull ever since, and Zhou Guanyu in his 2nd year, both under Alfa Romeo. Here's a list of team principals. Of course, just this week we learned that Otmar Zafnauer has been switched halfway through the season as the team principal at Alpine by Bruno Famin. And at the end of this season, Franz Tost is out at AlphaTauri to be replaced by Lauren Mekies. Elsewhere on the grid, this year is the first year of Alfa Romeo's leadership under Aluni Bravi, after Frederic Vasseur stepped aside to go over to Ferrari to succeed Matteo Binotto. Mike Crack is in his 2nd year. Great name, by the way. Everyone always says that, but it is. Mike Crack in his 2nd year as the principal at Aston Martin. Gunther Steiner has been on the grid at Haas ever since it started in 2016. I didn't mean to say on the grid. He has been their team principal. Andrea Stella is the team principal for McLaren. Toto Wolff, one sec. Toto Wolff has been the team principal at Mercedes since 2013. He has been basically the principal for their entire massive rate of success. Of course, Ross Brawn, the founder of Brawn Racing, was the original team principal when it switched over to Mercedes. Christian Horner has been at Red Bull since they rebranded in 2005. And then, of course, this is the first year of James Vowles as the team principal at Williams, taking over for Jost Capito, who himself took over for Claire Williams in 2021. What? Babies talk a lot, you know that? Here's a list of locations on the grid. So these are current Grands Prix, and if they are in green, that of course means they're an active race at their current location. If there was a one-off or just a continuation at a different track, then I put it in blue. If they no longer race, or if the race was canceled and returned later, I have that original location in red. This, I think, should be blue. Or no, sorry, this is a partial continuation. That's why it's in blue. But the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix has been held since 2009 at the Yas Marina circuit. The Australian Grand Prix returned last season after an interruption due to COVID. That is at the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne. Has been at Albert Park since 1996. Before that, it was at the Adelaide Street Circuit since 1985. The Austrian Grand Prix started way back in 1964, a single one-off at Zeltweg Airfield. Started at what is now the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg in 1970. Raced there until 1987, returned to the grid in 1997 for a 7-year stint, returned to the grid once again in 2014 under the new and refurbished Red Bull Ring, the same track, just refurbished. The Baku City Circuit was originally home of the European Grand Prix, did not become the Azerbaijan Grand Prix until 2017. Has been held at the Baku City Circuit every year since, except for the COVID year. It was canceled due to COVID in 2020. The Bahrain Grand Prix has been held continuously since 2004 at the Bahrain International Circuit, except for the year 2011 during the Arab Spring protests. There were protests going on in Bahrain at the time. The Belgian Grand Prix has been held in its current form since 2007 at Spa-Francorchamps. The British Grand Prix has been held in its current form since 2011 at Silverstone. The Canadian Grand Prix has been held in its current form since 1996 at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, but it had 2 years off due to the COVID pandemic in the Western Hemisphere. The Dutch Grand Prix returned to the grid in 2021 for the first time in a very long time. I don't have the original dates on here. I think it was all the way back in the 70s, but of course that is held at the Zandvoort circuit. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix has been held every year since 2020. It was added to the grid in 2020 as an extra race. It's the second Italian Grand Prix held at Imola, or the Circuit Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari. Was not held this year due to flooding in the region, so they canceled the race in order to keep everybody safe and kind of make aware all of the issues going on in the Emilia-Romagna region. But it is expected to return to the circuit cycle next season. The Hungarian Grand Prix has been held at the Hungaroring continuously since 2003. The Italian Grand Prix at Monza since 2000. The Japanese Grand Prix returned to the grid last season after 2 years off for COVID. That has been held at Suzuka basically every year since 2003. It took 2 years in the Fuji circuit in 2007 and 2008. The Las Vegas Grand Prix is held for the first time. Of course, there was the Caesars Palace Grand Prix held way back when, but the official Las Vegas Grand Prix starts for the first time this year at the new Las Vegas Street Circuit. The Mexico City Grand Prix has been held at the Circuit de Hermanos Rodriguez since 2015. Took a single year off due to the pandemic. The Miami Grand Prix started last year. We are in the second year of Miami at the Miami International Circuit next to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens. The Monaco Grand Prix has been held every year since since it's not even dated. That's how far back we're going. But they did take a year off during the COVID year. The Losail circuit has hosted the Qatar Grand Prix. It was a one-off in 2021. So actually, I'm going to change the colors here of the original. But it returns this year for the 2023 calendar and is likely to continue for the next several years. Are you okay? Are you okay down there? 1 second. Oh, we're just going to call him the interrupter. The Sao Paulo Grand Prix, formerly called the Brazilian Grand Prix, has been held at the Circuit de José Carlos Passa in Interlagos in Sao Paulo since 1990, except for the COVID year. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix has been held for the last 3 years at the Jeddah Corniche Circuit in Jeddah. The Singapore Grand Prix has been held every year since 2018 at the Marina Bay Street Circuit, except for the COVID year. The Spanish Grand Prix has been held at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya since 2007. Was previously held, I don't have it on here, but I believe it was previously held at Valencia because it went over the bridge. But was held during the COVID year. And then the United States Grand Prix has been held a variety of places. Right on this chart, I only have it in 2 separate places. Has been held at the Circuit of the Americas since 2014, except for the COVID year, but was held in Indianapolis at the Indianapolis 500 or Indianapolis International Motor Speedway. Between the years 2000 and 2007 was, of course, canceled because of the 2007, the tire controversy. I can't remember if it was 2007, but it was one of the later years of the Indianapolis Grand Prix. Go look up why the the United States Grand Prix at Indianapolis was canceled. It's kind of a fascinating story. I think it was just like a 7-car race because of some tire problems. So go check that out. It's kind of a fascinating history. This is a list of official sponsors of each team. So of course, the cars are decked out in sponsors, but sometimes companies will pay to be a part of the official team name. So this is a history of that for all of the current teams. Alfa Romeo is currently known with its partnership with Stake. Was Orlane for the last 3 years. Was Alfa Romeo Sauber in 2018. Was BMW Sauber between the years 2008 and 2010. AlphaTauri is currently partnered with Scuderia, who is best known for their partnership with Ferrari. Was previously under the Red Bull title, of course, is still a Red Bull team, but is not part of the official name. Has kind of been passed back and forth between Scuderia and Red Bull since 2008. I only went back to 2008 here. I don't know why. Alpine currently partnered with BWT, the former partners with Racing Point. That's where the blue and pink color scheme comes in. It was DP World Renault in 2020. Was also, I believe, ING Renault in 2008 and 2009. Aston Martin currently paired with Cognizant. Of course, they are also partnered with Aramco, but that is more part of the official team than anything. Was BWT Racing Point in 2020, Sport Pesa Racing Point in 2019, Sahara Force India between 2012 and 2018, Kingfisher, what would their official name have been back then? Was it still Force India? But that was in 2009. Ferrari, back with Scuderia, has also put Mission Winnow in their official title. Of course, most famously partnered with Marlboro back since the 1990s. Haas currently partnered with MoneyGram, was also partnered with Uralkali in 2021, which caused controversy going into the 2022 season because of Uralkali's connections to the Russian oligarchy. McLaren has not had a sponsor in a long time, was a sponsor with Vodafone during the days of Lewis Hamilton, way back in the late 90s decade. Mercedes, of course, partnered with Petronas. Red Bull, currently partnered with Oracle, was previously partnered with Aston Martin before Aston Martin joined the grid, and then Infinity during the championship year in 2013, and then through 2015. Williams has not had a partner since 2019. That was Rocket Williams. Before that, it was Martini Williams, and then AT&T Williams back at the end of the 2000s decade. This is official driver standings. Now, this is not up to date, so let's update this to kind of close out our our live stream today. So what I have here, let's go to the 2023 Formula One World Championship. And we're going to scroll down to results and standings and go down to Constructor Championship standings. So Red Bull has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All 12, believe it or not, of the races. So if I divide, let's take my calculator out here and take 12 divided by 23 races is 52%. Right now, they're the only team to have won, but we'll do... Are you okay? Little cough. You gonna be okay? Okay. Mercedes is in second place, Aston Martin in third, Ferrari fourth, McLaren fifth, Alpine sixth, Williams seventh, Haas 8th, Alfa Romeo 9th, AlphaTauri 10th. Drivers' championships. So Verstappen has won all but 2 of them. So what is 10 divided by 23? 43%. So we will put Verstappen with 43% here. Perez in second place has won 9% of this year's races. Alonso, Hamilton, and then it's Leclerc in Sainz's spot. Let's do this. Let's go Leclerc here and Sainz down here. Are you gonna make it? Or are you gonna start crying? 1 sec, please. Okay, Norris is in 8th, Stroll is in 9th, so let's flip these fellas here. I have Ocon in 10th, and Piastri, Gasly, is Albon still in 13th, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Zhou, Yuki, Magnussen, Sargent, De Vries, Ricciardo. Okay. So those standings are correct there. I just wanted to look across here. So Perez has kind of been progressively going up in the last couple of years. He was 4th on the 2020 grid. Of course, that's what scored him his position on the grid for 2021 with Red Bull. Hamilton ahead of Russell from last year. Leclerc dropping all the way down from 2nd to 5th. Sainz dropping from 6th to 7th. Norris from 7th to 8th. Stroll is actually up, despite where I ranked him, from 15th to 9th. Ocon down from 8th to 10th. Gasly from 14th to 12th with a new car. Albon from 19th to 13th. Hülkenberg wasn't on the grid last year. Bottas from 10th to 15th. Guan Yu from 18th to 16th. Tsunoda stays exactly the same, very consistent. Magnussen drops from 13 to 18. Sargent wasn't on the grid. De Vries wasn't on the grid. Ricciardo dropping from 12th to 21st. Let's go down to Formula 2 then. So, let's scroll all the way back up to the top and go to Support Series. What? I hope you guys enjoy. You get to watch me parent as I do this today. Very enjoyable. Let's see here. So, go down to season summary. No, let's go to team championships. So, I'm not going to count sprint races in the standings here. So let's go 1, 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 2 out of 13 is 15% for Art Grand Prix, and they sit in first place. I'm guessing if Prema's in second, they have 1, 2, 3. Yes. No, 1, 2, 4. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 13. So 4 out of 13 is 31%. So Prema is in second place. Dams should be, unless they have a second victory, which they do not. So they should sit right there comfortably. No, excuse me. Yes, but they are in fourth place. Carlin is actually in third place without any full race victories. Fifth, MP Motorsport with no full race victories. Virtuosi is after MP. And they have 2. So 2 divided by 13. We've already done it. It's 15%. So we'll go 15% there. Campos, I have in 7th. It's going to be Van Amersfoort in 7th. So Van Amersfoort ahead of Campos. Then I have High Tech, Trident, and PHM, which is what is on here. So let's go to drivers then. Theo Pourchaire with 1 victory is going to be in first place. Frederick Vesti, this should say 15%. I have in second place. Ayumi Iwasa is in third place. Jack Duhan is going to have, where's he at here? Jack Duhan is going to be in fourth place. He has 15% of the victories on the grid this year. So Duhan, Martins, Behrman. So let's go Martins. And then Behrman is below Martins in 6th place with a single victory. Fittipaldi, Verschuur, Hauger. Fittipaldi. And then Richard Verschuur. And then Dennis Hauger. My local countryman, of course, he's Norwegian. 10th is Zane Maloney, and he's the last one above Kushmaini. And then, let's see, below Miney is Deruvula, Crawford, Leclerc. So Deruvula, Crawford, Leclerc. And then I have Boschung, it's going to be Hadjar, Boschung, Stanek. Hadjar, Boschung, Stanek. And then it's Correa, Novalak, Nissani. Correa, Novalak, Nissani. And then I have Cordial, Benavides, and now Josh Mason. Josh Mason is driving for Charouz. So Josh Mason for Charouz or PHM. So we'll add him here, Josh Mason. Okay, Formula 3. Scroll all the way back up to the top here and go to support series. Ugh, my throat just kills me on these live streams. Okay, so we go to season summary, results, and standings. Teams championship. Prema Racing is in first place. So there are 10 races on the Formula 3 calendar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope, I lied to you. 9. So Prema has won 2 out of 9 final races, which should be 22%. I just had to double check that. 22%. Trident has 1, 2, 3. So that should be 33%, I believe. Continuing. High Tech Pulse is in 4th place. So let's move Campos to 3rd place. They have a single final race finish. So that should be 11%. If I say High Tech or Campos. Campos. Sorry, my bad. Forget where I'm at sometimes. 11%. Okay, so High Tech Pulse has 1 as well. 11%. So After 8 race, who are we missing? Final race for Yenzer. Yenzer has one as well. Yenzer's in 6th. And I put these out of order. My bad. So Yenzer is in 6th. I'm getting ahead of myself. I do apologize. 7th is Art. 8 is Van Amersfoort. 9 is Charouz. And 10th is Carlene. Formula 3 driver rankings. Okay, let's go up here. So Bortoleto is in 1st place. That should say 22. And then we have Paul Aaron without a final race victory. Where's he at here? Paul Aaron is in 2nd place. The baby is asleep. Awesome. Then it's Marty and O'Sullivan. Marty, O'Sullivan. And Marty has 1 final race finish. O'Sullivan has 2. So we'll go 11% and 22%. 5th place is Colapinto. 6th place is Beganovic. Colapinto, Beganovic. So we'll go Beganovic here, and above him, Colapinto. 7th place is going to be Meany with a single final race finish. So 11%. I do that just to see like how dominant a driver has been in comparison to like historical drivers. So after Gabriel Mini, Oliver Getty is 1. So that should say 11% there. Fornaroli, Collet, Saucy. Fornaroli, Collet, Saucy. Fornaroli, Collet, and Saucy is in 11th place. Then I have Mansell and Bernard. Bernard has 1. So we'll go Mansell and Barnard. 1 there. 14th is Browning, Montoya, Edgar. So we have Browning, Montoya, and we'll add Edgar there. No, you weren't supposed to wake up. You were supposed to stay asleep. 1 sec. Hi, Bubba. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. 17, bless you. 17 is Bedrin, Barter, Boya. So Bedrin. And then Barter. And Boya. Formula 3 is the hardest because there's so, or the one that takes the longest because there's so many drivers. Garcia, Frederick, Florsch. So Garcia, Frederick, Florsch. 23 is Solaf, Cohen, Smith. Solaf, Cohen, Smith. And then 26, Gray, Villagomez. And then we have a driver I don't have listed yet, and that is going to be Francesco Simonazzi, racing for Carlin. And Carlin is that navy blue. So and this was after Villagomez. And then it's Yini. Simonazzi, Yini, Faria, Cresswell. Cresswell is driving for Charouz. McKinney Cresswell. Max Esterson is driving for Rodin Carlin. And Michael Sheen is driving for, let's see here, Charouz. Michael Sheen. Formula E should be a little easier because there's less drivers. So we got to look this up. It's not a related series. Let's go Formula E World Championship. And this is nice because it's over. So go down to final drivers standings. We have Jake Dennis, who won the championship by a total of 30 points. He had 1, 2 final races out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 2 divided by 16 is 13%. Jake Dennis, total of 13%. And then it is Nick Cassidy with 4 total wins, so that's 25%. And then Mitch Evans with 4 as well. It's amazing how points work in this system. Verline with 3, so 3 divided by 16 is 19%. And then Vernia with 1 victory should be, let me double check that it's 6%. That's not right. It should be 8%. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Why did I say 13? 1 divided by 16 is 6%. Yeah. I should stop doubting myself. Buemi and Gunther are to follow. Buemi and Gunther. Gunther had 1 victory, so that's 6%. And then it's Bird and DaCosta. DaCosta has the 1 that I've already put there. And then Nato, Van Doorn, Hughes. So Nato, Van Doorn, Hughes. Rast, Mortara, DeGrassi. Rast, Mortara, DeGrassi. And then Fenestraz, Tictum, Lauderer. Fenestraz, Tan, Dictum. And then 19th is Mueller. Mueller, Kamara, Roland. Mueller, City Kamara, and Roland. And Friens, Roberto Meri, who is driving for Mahindra. Mahindra is this one. So Friens, then it's Roberto Meri. And then it's Vanderlinde. And then David Beckman, who is driving for Andretti. And I will double check that name one more time so I don't get it wrong. Let me just copy it. David Beckman, not to be confused with David Beckham, of course. Okay, so then in the standings, Formula E final standings for the teams, Envision with 4 total victories, which should come out to, what did we say, 25%. Jaguar is in second with 4 total victories, it looks like. And then Andretti with 2 total victories, which 13%. And then it's Porsche with 1, 2, 3, 4 as well, 25%. And then Penske with 1, Maserati with 1. So if we add all of these up, 50, 25, and then that rounded, yes, okay, perfect. And then 7th place is Nissan ahead of McLaren. And then the bottom 3 teams are Neo Mahindra and ABT. Okay, so that long adjustment aside, let's move on to victors. So let's scroll down to Formula E. This, I've just included the second one of the double races in Formula E. So the British one was won by, the second one was won by Nick Cassidy, who was driving for Envision. I will bold Jake Dennis every time we see him. The Korean one was won by, there wasn't a Korean one. I don't know why I have Korea on there. Oh, that sounded good. Malaysian, Mexican was won by Jake Dennis. Moroccan. There was not a Moroccan one this year either. I don't know why I don't have these updated to reflect that. Are you okay? Are you going to make it? All right, he does not want to behave. Okay, let's go up to Formula 3 then. So we'll go back to Formula 3. And so we have yet to do... Can you stop making so much noise? Okay, okay. We have yet to do Italy, but we have done everything else. So the Austrian was won by Zach O'Sullivan, driving for Prema. So we'll go Zach O'Sullivan. Belgium was just won by Taylor Bernard, driving for Yenzer. What color do I have Yenzer? Let's go right here. Driving for Yenzer. British was won by Oliver Getty, driving for Trident. Oliver Getty. Dutch was... the Dutch isn't on the calendar this year. Not sure why I don't have that covered. Hungarian was won by Zach O'Sullivan. Italian, we talked about, has not yet happened. Does that mean we have all the other ones? Yes. Okay, Formula 2. We go backwards to Formula 2. We go to summaries here. We've yet to do Netherlands, Italy, and Abu Dhabi. So, Austria was won by Richard Verschuur, driving for Van Amersfoort. Richard Verschuur. Is that Van Amersfoort's first win ever? That kind of shocks me. Let's go up here. Richard Did I miss something? Okay. I must have missed something on the last one, but we won't go back to it, about him winning. So Van Amersfoort. So we'll go like that. Belgian was just won by Jack Doohan from Virtuosi. He won it last year as well. The British was won by Victor Martins for Art. Can I help you? So we'll go Victor Martins. The Dutch has yet to happen. French, did they do a French one this year? No. Hungarian was won by Jack Doohan from Virtuosi. Italian has not yet happened. And those are all the ones on the calendar. That sounded kind of gross. Don't do that on camera. And then here we have Formula One. So, yet to happen is Abu Dhabi. Max Verstappen has won it the last 3 years in a row. Australia this year was won by Max Verstappen for the first time. Last year it was won by Charles Leclerc. Austrian won by Max Verstappen, his 4th victory there. Azerbaijan was won by Checo Perez, his 2nd victory there. Bahrain won by Max Verstappen for the first time. Last year was Charles Leclerc. The Belgian was just won by Max, 3rd time in a row. British was won by Max. Last year was by Carlos Sainz. Canadian back-to-back for Verstappen. Dutch is yet to happen. And then Emilia-Romagna was canceled. Hungarian has been won back-to-back by Max Verstappen. Italian has yet to happen. Last year was Verstappen. Japanese, same case. Las Vegas has never happened before. Mexico City, in its 2 years of existing as the Mexico City Grand Prix, has been won by Verstappen every year. Miami, also Verstappen. Monaco, Verstappen, 2 of the last 3 years. Last year was Checo. Qatar has yet to happen. Sao Paulo has yet to happen. The last 2 years has been Mercedes. Last year was George Russell, his 1st victory. Saudi Arabia this year was won by Checo. Last year by Max Verstappen. Singapore this year yet to happen. Last year was won by Checo. Spanish, the last 2 years have been won by Max Verstappen. And United States has not yet happened, but the last 2 years by Max Verstappen there. So that being said, let's bring this video to a close in terms of spreadsheet content. We always go through comments of the week. There are a couple I want to touch on here on the channel. So we're going back about 7 days here, and I will go to all of the comments from the last week. So, we talked about those last week. On my blurry face retrospective video, which hasn't, it just hit about 200 views, but I would love to see that one get into the thousands as well. So go check that out. It says part 4 on it, which might have been a mistake on my part. It will be the 4th part, but you don't have to watch them in order, and it is the first part that has come out. So, at 8th Furno says, really enjoyed the video, can't wait to see what's coming up next. Well, I do have a trench video, basically part 5 of the 21 Pilots retrospective coming out hopefully in the next few weeks here. I finished the script. I haven't recorded it or edited it yet, but that is next on my projects, is that I also have a couple Dune videos that I'm hoping to get out by the time Dune Part 2 comes out in October. On the name all 130 college football teams, at Media Management 7918 says, I got 121. Not bad in my opinion. Yeah, no, seriously, very good. I think there's 132 on there. It says 130. I just kind of rounded it out, but I think it's 132. So 121 is not bad, especially if your screen also froze the pictures the way mine did, and I kind of had to guess at the final ones. On part 2 of the all 28 episodes of Black Mirror ranked, at Orcocon says, I didn't think Demon 79 was supernatural at all. I think it's very psychological, as it's all in her head, or at least that's how I interpreted it. Even Maisie Day could be a simulation. I think in San Junipero someone says there are simulations with vampires and werewolves. Nice vids. Your passion for the series really shows. So a bunch of different thoughts on those 3 paragraphs there. First of all, thank you very much for liking the videos and understanding my passion for the series. I really do love Black Mirror. I kind of agree with the fact that Demon 79, especially what we're expecting to see out of the Red Mirror series, I think Demon 79 is kind of a gap a bridge between Black Mirror and what is to be Red Mirror. It definitely was more psychological than supernatural, but it did have a lot more supernatural elements than what we usually see in Black Mirror. Black Mirror is usually a technology show. This was kind of the first real episode where we didn't see any major technology. It was more so psychology and supernatural elements in there, but yes, I agree with you that it all takes place in her head, which is why Demon 79 fits into the timeline video that I have. When you say even Macy Day could be a simulation, and then you say in San Junipero someone says there are simulations with vampires and werewolves, I don't think they're referencing Macy Day. I think that's a Twilight reference. I think that's just a clever little aside saying that there is a version of San Junipero that exists to play to Twilight fantasies. So I like the thought. I really like the thought, actually, but I don't think that's what they were going for there by any means. On the Blur Your Face retrospective video, at TPLover21Pilots68, quite a long name, says, what happened to past 1 through 3? I think they mean to say what happened to part 1 through 3. I haven't made them yet. I mentioned at the end of the video that I did them out of order. I'm going to do them in Star Wars order, so 4, 5, 6, and then go back to the origins of 21 Pilots and do 1 through 3. So next on my list is part 5, so it'll be part 4, part 5, then part 6, back to 1 through 3. So please do enjoy Trench when it comes out, like I said, hopefully in a few weeks here. On part 1 of my all 28 episodes of Black Mirror ranked video, Dahomey Steph points, writes a time stamp and says, you confused Hang the DJ with Shut Up and Dance. Yes, I recorded that video in one take. It does not surprise me that I got my thoughts confused. Apparently I called both Hang the DJ. Yes. Outside of that, a lot of your takes mirror my own. Good job. Thank you very much. Edit, you caught it at the end. Yes, thank you very much. On the entire Black Mirror timeline video, at Amelia Morgan 8040. Are you talking right now? You know Dad's trying to talk on camera. Okay. Amelia Morgan 8040 says, definitely keep going the show recap and slight commentary route. This is a cool timeline. Yes. Do you want to be on camera? He wants to be on camera. He's going to say hi. Come here. Oh, yes, baby. Oh, big baby. Oh, yes. Oh, hello. Say hi to the people. Oh. He's got the strongest neck of any baby I've ever seen. He just kind of flings it around all the time. But yes, so along with doing my album rankings, not necessarily album rankings, but mostly album retrospectives, what I want to do is start doing more timelines with movies and shows. So like I said, I'm going to do a series of Dune videos, but I just finished Breaking Bad for actually the first time. I've watched the pilot episode a bunch of times, but I've never actually watched Breaking Bad in its entirety. I finished it, and now I'm on Better Call Saul. What I would like to do is milk the amount of views that I can get on a couple different videos, and basically do a Breaking Bad timeline where it's just Breaking Bad, a Better Call Saul video where it's just Better Call Saul, and then combine the two together. So kind of scummy of me, but it's more so to monetize the channel, which we are not yet at, but we'll talk about at the end of this live stream today, about, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? About the future of the video, or the future of the channel, excuse me. But yes, I'd like to do a full 3-video series on the Breaking Bad universe. Probably include El Camino in the overall total one. I have not yet seen El Camino. I've not yet finished Better Call Saul. And then I'd like to do a Walking Dead timeline where I do all the different shows there, but more specifically the main show. Orphan Black is my favorite TV show of all time, and I'd like to do one of that series. So we'll see if I have time to get to that before the end of the year. I doubt it, but I would love to do that. So that is my plan. So thank you, Amelia. On the 130 college football teams video, Nikolai Grashinov-ZE2CR says, I got 127. Good job. That is, like I said, I think all of the ones I got before the pictures died on me. And so I had to finish it based on my knowledge of which teams have Division 1 football or FBS football teams. On the Black Mirror timeline video 2 days ago, at SuperJ1109 says, the comment was posted twice. I don't think you did that on purpose, but it says, I realized watching this that Black Mirror has a lot of car accidents. You'd think with all the technology in the show, humans would get better at driving. It's an interesting point. I've actually never thought about the fact that there are so many car accidents but you're right, there are a ton. But interestingly enough, this isn't necessarily the case why, but one theory as to why humanity has never progressed to flying cars is that humans have a habit of pushing things as far as they can go before they have to take responsibility. And one example of that is driving cars until they run out of gas. So if you have a flying car, specifically one that doesn't necessarily glide on its own, and you run out of gas, pushing it as far as you can go before you have to hit a gas station, you're going to die and potentially kill a bunch of people. So that's a theory as to why humans would never be able to handle flying cars. But that's me mixing technology and cars off of your comments. But yes, thank you for pointing that out. I've never actually noticed that. And then At the Mondo Show decides that they're going to have a very insightful comment here saying there's multiple timelines. That's it. That's the entire comment. I don't necessarily disagree, but the point of my video is to try to match everything into one timeline. So I made the video to address that. Anyways, on part 1 of my all 28 episodes of Black Mirror ranked video, at Andrea Charlton 2696 says, trigger warning, non-consent. Yes, that is the thing that pops up at the start of the national anthem broadcast. And then this person goes on to say, national anthem just makes me feel so sick. I feel like I'm watching a R-word, sexual assault, and I can't stand it. They should have used something else as the demand, literally anything else. I understand why they did it, but it's too much. I don't really have a response to this comment other than to say that maybe it's not a show you should be watching then. Yeah, like if you don't want to watch that, then don't watch Black Mirror because it happens in the show. Yeah, there's a lot of other shows that you could watch, so I feel like complaining about that is it. I'm not gonna comment really any further on that. And then just today on the part 2 video of my Black Mirror ranked, at Alan Charles Valley Boy 1989 says Josh Hartnett was in the Teens Fighting Aliens infiltration classic, The Faculty. Yes, I have only ever seen Josh Hartnett in one thing, and it's Pearl Harbor. So that's what I know him from. But I appreciate you calling it the Teens Fight Aliens infiltration classic, The Faculty. But that being said, those are all of the comments for the week. I want to take a look at video popularity right now. The Black Mirror Timelines video is reaching 700 likes. Right now we're at 21,258 views, which is phenomenal. Thank you guys very much for how far this video has come. The all 130 college football teams is still at 17,000 views. Part 1 of my episodes for Black Mirror ranking video has 2.7 thousand. Part 2 has 870 views, and then we go into other content that is shy of 500 views. In terms of the channel itself, of course, if you're seeing the, and actually we are at 251 now, so, what? Bless you. If you throw up on me on camera, you're never going to be on a live stream again, okay? Okay. We're at 251 subscribers. I made a comment a month ago when we hit 100 that I would love to see this channel hit 1,000. And when I said that back then, 1,000 seemed like kind of a reach for what we'd be able to do the rest of the year. We're a quarter of the way there. We're over a quarter of the way to 1,000. And the reason 1,000 is my goal is because that's the number of subscribers you need on YouTube to have your channel monetized. There's a lot that I want to do with this channel. And I want to be able to support this guy and be able to give him time out of my day. And right now I'm working a full-time job. I'm being a parent. I'm being as attentive of a husband as I can be to my wife, in addition to trying to run a YouTube channel. And I would love to be able to cut back on the time that I work outside of YouTube and away from my family. And in order to do that, or at least provide financially for that, I need the channel to be monetized. And in order to have the channel monetized, you need two things: 4,000 watch hours, which we are over 7,000 watch hours on the channel. So that goal has already been surpassed, but we need 1,000 subscribers. Now, the typical average that I've heard of channels with their viewership in terms of their subscribers is that only 8% of their viewers typically are subscribed. This channel is significantly worse than that. It's somewhere around 0.3% of my viewers are subscribed. So I would love to see people who come across the channel, come across my videos, subscribe more. If that's something you're into, I'm not asking you if you don't enjoy this channel's content, if you don't enjoy the way that I do things here, where we switch things up every week for the most part. If that's not your thing, then don't subscribe. I totally understand that. But I very much appreciate you guys bringing us to 251 as of me recording this. Hopefully this guy enjoys it in a few years when we're able to when we're able to feed him because of all the YouTube views. No, it's never going to be that desperate, but I would love to be able to make a little money off of this channel doing what I love, and that's spreadsheets and talking about the things that I like. So that being said, I'm going to call this video to a close. This week, I think, let me see what we have coming out this week, if anything's scheduled. If not, then you might see some, hold on, I gotta set you down on my lap real quick. Let's switch here and see what is coming up on the channel this week. What? Are you okay? Are you gonna be okay? Let's see here. My videos. Tomorrow is what, the 1st of August, so it's wrestling week. Oh, I totally lied to you. I thought we had another week before wrestling week, but no, starting tomorrow, you're gonna get a whole week of content talking about wrestling, and we're gonna talk about wrestling on Monday after SummerSlam, of course. So tomorrow I have a, can you name all 88 WWE World Champions? We're gonna do a quiz talking about all WWE Universal, just WWE champions, and World Heavyweight champions. The day after that is NXT. The day after that is AEW. The day after that is SummerSlam main events. The day after that is women's champions. And then hopefully I get the chance to record a Minecraft part 2 of my Minecraft world for view on Sunday. But that being said, I better get this guy some food. He's looking a little hungry. Can you say goodbye to the people? Can you say goodbye to the people? He is just staring at something on the wall, and I have no idea what it is. But thank you very much. Thanks for enjoying and enduring my baby. This has been Formula One Week. We'll be back with wrestling next week. In the meantime, we'll see you very, very soon. Bye now.